Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever parts of the world you are joining me from, I want to say welcome to this live video and presentation. My name is Paul Dominic Jari Jr., commonly called Duke. I've been a literature teacher for over 10 years and currently a literature teacher in the Republic of Liberia. I've had the honor and opportunity to work as an assistant examiner for the West African Examination Council, WAEC, of Liberia. And I was opportune to take part in the WAEC marking exercises since 2014. And then we later transitioned to the WASSCE, which I also experienced as an examiner. These backgrounds put me in a better position to provide necessary information that will assist students. As for the purpose of this video, I have single-handed out a single question which I believe has been a problem for not just students but a problem for even teachers, many teachers who teach literature. So we are going to go through this. I've given an example question similar as it comes in the WASSCE, and we will go through the questions. At the end of this question, there are series of questions considered practice questions I've also included in this presentation. You and I can work it out together. So now let's get started. The question is about odd atom out. Why PON is correct? So the question in this presentation, the correct answer to that question is PON. So if PON is the correct answer, why is PON correct? So we will be identifying the odd atom and understanding why is it an odd atom. That means the reason to it. What do we consider an odd atom? First of all, when we talk about an odd atom, it is one thing in a group that does not belong or is different from the others in a specific way. You will be given question, right, about picking the odd atom. And the question you'll be given will have options A to D. And of the A to D, there will be 3 of these options that belong to one category or one group. That means they have similar characteristics. So an odd atom is among atoms that have the same characteristics, is among atoms that have the same category or the same function. That is what an odd atom is. So now I want you to practically, let's look at it. If we are having meetings, a particular meeting, and we say that this meeting is meant for all 12 graders, then an 11th grade student came to attend the meeting and you are asked to pick the odd atom. Definitely, 11th grade student who has come in the meeting called for 12 graders is considered the odd atom. So we'll pick 11th grade out of the meeting because the meeting belongs to 12 graders. 12 graders have characteristics because they belong to a particular class. So just get it as a practical understanding. Once you have understanding of that scenario I just gave, whatever question relating to picking out the odd item or choosing the odd item that comes in your paper one, which is the objective portion of literature in English, you will be able to answer or provide answer to it. Now let's look at an example, this example that we've been talking about. The question says, choose the odd item. A, poem. B, biography. C, autobiography. D, memoir. Now, the answer to this question is poem. Why? Biography is a category similar to autobiography. Autobiography is a category similar to memoir. And we're going to be justifying that. So why is poem considered the odd item here? Poem is a figure of speech used for wordplay and for humor. When we talk about humor, we are referring to laughter, right? So the words are being played on in order to bring about laughter. Then we look at the other options, biography, autobiography, and memoir. These are non-fiction genres about real people's lives. Biography, as we are aware, is a account of a person's life written by another person, while autobiography is an account of a person's life written by himself or herself, right? And memoir is a account of personal experiences. These all form in the non-fictional genres about the life of real people or real people's lives. Unlike poem, is a figure of speech. So it does not belong to the category of real people's lives. That is why we say it is considered an odd item in the option. Now, moving forward, we say therefore poem is the odd one because it is a narrative genre. So what then do we refer to as poem? Poem is a play on words that uses similar sounds or multiple meanings of a word to create humor. An example can be time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana. In this example, the first part, time flies like an arrow, means that time passes quickly. Looking at the second part of this example that says fruit flies like a banana, it plays on the double meaning of flies, the double meaning of the word flies and like. So in the first example, or I mean in this example, the first part of this example, time flies indicates that time flies like an arrow. It passes quickly. But the same words we use in the part of this example, time flies or flies like, we are now using the same flies like in the second part of this example. We are playing with words and playing with these words in order to produce humor, to produce laughter. So in the earlier part of the example, we say time flies, indicating that time goes faster or quickly. But in the second part of this example, we are saying fruit flies like a banana. Fruit flies, we are using the same word as we use it in the context of something passing quickly, which is time. And in the second part now, Instead of using it for that purpose, we are using it for something else. When we say fruit flies refer to insects and their preferences for banana, right? So insects are considered fruit flies. So fruit flies like a banana, right? So that is an example of poem. Now let's look at the first practice question. It says choose the odd item. A. Simile. B. Metaphor. C. Hyperbole. D. Diary. When we talk about simile, we are talking about a figure of speech. A figure of speech that involves comparison between two unlike things with the use of words such as, like, as though, resembles, etc. The word metaphor is also a figure of speech. So if simile is a figure of speech, metaphor is a figure of speech, therefore they belong to the same category. Metaphor compares without the use of these words, which are earlier mentioned, that includes as, like, as though, resembles. It gives a direct form of comparison. So the issue is not about what they are in terms of definition, but the issue is about what group, what category do they find themselves. If they find themselves in a category of figure of speech, automatically it shows that they have similarity, that they are the same. Hyperbole, a figure of speech that exaggerates for the sake of emphasis. So hyperbole is also a figure of speech. But diary is an account of a person's recorded, even within a journal. It's a diary. So a diary is different from a, it's different from those figure of speech. It's not a simile. It is not a metaphor, as these three figures of speech have something or things in common because they belong to the same group. They belong to the same group. But for diary, it's a personal record or journal. It is a form of writing. It is not a figure of speech. So diary in this example of practice question is considered the answer, which is the old item. Then let's look at the second practice question. Let's do it together. The question says, choose the old item. A, irony. B, alliteration. C, sonnet. D, metaphor. I believe, judging from the previous examples, you have an understanding in providing the answer to this question. So I'm going to give you a little time to do that. Okay, so irony is a figure of speech. Alliteration is a figure of speech. Metaphor is a figure of speech. But the word sonnet is a poetic, it is a type of poem written in 14 lines. So, what is poem doing among figures of speech? Automatically, it becomes the old item. So, the correct answer to this question is C, sonnet. The next practice question says choose the old item. It says A, fable. B, legend. C, adjective. D, myth. Fable as we are aware or may be aware, is a story. And as a story, it tells a story using animal characters. Sorry. Fable uses animal characters. It uses animal as character in order to portray a message. For example, we might have read the book Animal Farm. Animal Farm portrays stories using animals like Old Major, Napoleon, right? So that is a story. Then legend. Legend is a traditional story. So whatever story it is, the fact is that fable is a story, legend is a story. They fall under one umbrella or category called story, right? So legend is a traditional story. It is a story that passed down from generation to generation, and it is often believed to be based on real people or events. Now let's skip the next option and look at the letter D, which is myth. Myth, like legend, is a traditional story. This one, it explains the origins of the world. It explains the natural phenomena, human behavior, and their cultural beliefs. Myth often involves gods, supernatural beings, or mythical creatures. We realize that myth is often set in ancient times, way back those days. It involved deities, it involved spirits, it involved the gods, the creation of the world. So the fact is, for the purpose of this presentation, fable is a story, legend is a story, myth is a story. Adjective should not be among these guys. Why will stories be having meeting? Then figure of speech gets there. Automatically, figure of speech adjective becomes the odd item because adjective should not be among stories. So the correct answer to this question is C, adjective. Let's look at the last practice question before I take a leave. Choose the odd item. A, novel. B, short story. C, essay. D, personification. A novel is a long work of art that involves complicated characters, settings, plot, right? The fact is that a novel is a story and it is belonging or it belongs to the category of prose. A prose is an ordinary writing that is or that uses simple languages. It uses words that are easy for readers to understand. Then you look at short story. You look at short story as a story also, as the term suggests, short. It's a story that is short. It's most times written with just a single act, or it is written with a single plot. So a short story is not long, but it is short. Then we have essay. Essay is written in simple words, words that are easy to understand, right? So then we have the personification. So why will we have novel, short story, essay, these guys meeting, then personification, who is a figure of speech, is seen among them? automatically personification becomes the odd item in this example. So the correct answer to this question is D, personification. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It is my hope that you prove well, and I wish you success. Watch out for more of videos of this kind as you progress in your exam. My hearts are with you, and I'm with you in spirit. Have a good day.